Frankenstein 80 is a new one for me, which I've been wanting to see. It's actually made in 72, and it's Frankenstein, from what I've seen in it, is basically a pimp. He looks like a pimp in one part, at least. And it's just good old classic grindhouse fun. It has Guru the Mad Monk, Grave of the Vampire, which is a duplicate. Hands of Steel, which looks like it has John Sachs in it, but it also looks like it has George Eastman from Joe D'Amato movie fame, who was in Porno Holocaust and Erotic Nights of the Living Dead and played the Grim Reaper, of course. Horror Rises from the Tomb, another great Paul Naschy film, which another duplicate, but another great movie that I already have. House by the Cemetery, yet another duplicate, but again great. I'm looking forward to watching The House That Screamed. Haven't watched it yet. Keep My Grave Open's on here. That's a rare gem. Uh, My Mom's a Werewolf. The Night That Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, again a duplicate for me. The Oval Portrait looked interesting. But again, there's 50 movies on here. A lot of these are duplicates for me, but the ones that aren't are really great additions to the library. $20 at Best Buy. I definitely recommend checking out if you haven't seen any of these movies or even half of these movies. Buy this. It's cool. The quality ranges from, because on the 50 movie they have like I think 12 disc, and when you do that they have to cram so many movies on a disc. You can lose some of the picture quality because of having to have so many movies on such a limited amount of space. But the quality ranges from okay to pretty good actually. So for $20 it was decent. For my birthday, I finally got Lamberto Bava, which is Mario Bava's son, his movie Dinner with a Vampire, from which I understand was a TV movie, which of course in Europe they're a lot different, people a lot more mature and responsible and not as prude over there. Uh, but not heavy on eroticism and or violence, but just an interesting story. This movie is to vampires what Young Frankenstein is to Frankenstein and the Frankenstein's monster. There's a lot of humor injected in here, and even so much as being like a Young Frankenstein movie. There's a hunchback character in this movie that looks a lot like Marty Feldman, except for the bug eyes, and he plays essentially the same kind of butler, helper, Igor kind of helper character in this movie. If you're a fan of Italian films and vampires, check it out. It's definitely something different if you're tired of everything else that's out there. At Walmart, for $5, I was pleasantly surprised to find this little gem in the $5 bin. Well, again, my father-in-law happened to point this one out to me, and I had to find another copy, and I'm glad I did, because out of the Puppet Master series, the first three are my favorites. They're the three that I really grew up on. Some of the first horror films that I ever saw and really enjoyed. This has the first three Puppet Master movies. 1 and 2 are on the first side, and on the back side, the third one, and it has an old video zone for Puppet Master 3. Great classic full moon movies released by Echo Bridge Entertainment. If you're a fan of the Puppet Master series and you don't have the box set, pick this up. The box set's really hard to find. It's really expensive. It has almost all the movies. I also want to see the new Puppet Master Axis of Evil that came out, but this is the only thing I can find in my area right now. And I was happy to find this for $5, the first three, because I really love those movies. And I'm going to cut this out too because I'm adjusting shit. And for those of you that are fans of Herschel Gordon Lewis and love 2000 Maniacs, Tim Sullivan created a 2001 Maniacs, which featured Robert Englund as the mayor of the town. And it was great to see Robert Englund back in that movie. And there was the lady that was in Kingpin. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's an older lady. She was in the 2001 Maniacs with Robert Englund also. And she makes a return in this one, which is 2001 Maniacs Field of Screams, a direct sequel to 2001 Maniacs, which 2001 Maniacs was okay. This is a sequel done by Tim Sullivan, which is, it blows 2001 Maniacs out of the water. And the reason why I think this one's better is because it was grassroots. The director didn't have as much money as he did on the original 2001 Maniacs. He scraped this together with grassroots effort and people who were dedicated. And even not just, your typical low-budget people. The older lady that I mentioned from 2001 Maniacs makes a return back. Robert Englund is not in this one. However, Bill Moseley reprises I shouldn't say reprises, but Bill Moseley takes over the role of Robert Englund and does an absolute phenomenal job. And the bonus of having Bill Moseley come on board with this movie after doing Repo the Genetic Opera is he managed to bring along Ogre from Skinny Puppy into this movie too. And Ogre actually has a surprisingly big part in this movie. And I mean, he did a great job in this movie for only being like one of 3 or 4 movies that he's been in his throughout his career. Of course, he was in the Doom Generation. He was in Repo the Genetic Opera, in a not too huge of a part. But this is his largest, I'm going to say his largest film role to date that I've seen. He does a great job acting in it with the rest of the cast. The gore in this film is, oh my god, unbelievably great. If you're a fan of Herschel Gordon Lewis films or 2000 Maniacs, 2001 Maniacs, check it out. You won't be disappointed. It's a great, gory film. Half Price Books is interesting what you can find there from time to time. After the excursion where I got Rodin and the Gamera film, and then after the excursion where I got the silent film 10, and I think I got that's all I got at that particular time. I went a couple weeks ago and found these classics. Mad Doctor of Blood Island. Great movie. I'd seen the trailer a couple of times and thought it looked like it'd be a really cool movie. It is. Chock full of... it's actually pretty gory for its time for being released in 1968. Interesting storyline. Classic monster movie. Cheesy special effects. I love the monster, love the storyline. Chock full of blood and eroticism. And the sequel to Mad Doctor Blood Island, there's actually, I think, 4 movies in this series. Starts with The Brides of Blood, and then Mad Doctor Blood Island second, and this is the third, Beast of Blood, which follows the same kind of creature, but different set of characters. Haven't watched this one all the way through yet. I've seen all of Mad Doctor Blood Island, but this one, from what I've seen, is just as good as Mad Doctor Blood Island. Same kind of cheesy, low-budget film, great monster, gore, and effects. Definitely worth checking out. These were $5 each at Half Price Books. Great additions to any collection, in my opinion. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a huge fan of trailer disc. Trailer disc are great ways to see a bunch of little snips of movies without buying them. Trailer disc that was recently released is Mad Ron's Previews from Hell, which came out from Virgil Films. I love the cover art to this, and this is a bunch of old Grindhouse trailers, including Mad Doctor Blood Island's towards the end. It's a trailer on this disc. But what makes this trailer disc stand out and so great is the fact that it's framed throughout with snippets of Nick Paulo and his little zombie puppet Happy, and a bunch of zombies that come into the theater to watch these trailers. The film starts off with a little devil coming out in the theater, summoning the dead to come watch these trailers. And the scene, I mean, that's what really makes this great. I mean, you can find a lot of these trailers on other trailer disc. Some of them you can't, but that's what makes this great. It's got a lot of great trailers on it, and the scenes in between with the zombies and the puppet and all that craziness that goes on is what really sets this apart and makes it a great trailer disc. If you're a fan of trailer disc or just want to see something interesting, you can check this out. This is also available on Netflix Instant Streaming, I found. Definitely worth your time and money. Definitely worth checking out. Great way to see a lot of trailers and cool stuff in between the trailers.